Welcome back to the National Hurricane Center. This is Ken Graham right here live in our operations area in Miami, Florida. The time is 10:34 Central Time. Here's the latest information we have on Tropical Storm Nicholas. Latest winds, Stacy's been looking at all the data right now, 45-mile-per-hour winds, so still seeing some winds in the core of the storm. And I think you're going to see some of those winds, at least definitely gusting out in some of these rain bands as well. So we definitely have to watch that when it comes to trees down. Looks like the latest movement that we have looks like northeast, moving at 6 miles per hour. So as forecast, just very slow movement. Location 10 miles southeast of Houston. So we're about 10 miles southeast of Houston. Center's about right here. Just a slow movement off to the northeast and eventually a slow movement into Louisiana, and that's going to compound some of the issues. That slow movement doesn't help our situation with the impacts because that means more of this rainfall going to fall for portions of the Mississippi coast back through coastal Louisiana, even portions of central Louisiana with time, and even into Mississippi with some of that rainfall. So that's the latest situation, and you can see some of those heavy showers already moving in from Houma, Buras up to Baton Rouge and Lafayette. Some of that heavy tropical rain already producing some pretty heavy rainfall totals, and we'll have to watch where this sets up, that long tail that we've always talked about. As this storm moves in the direction of east, you'll start seeing where this tail sets up, and that's going to be repetitive tropical rains, and that's where your rainfall totals are going to add up pretty quickly. Let's look at that latest forecast. Here we are. This is 10 o'clock on Central Time at this location. Those tropical storm force winds stretch really, if you think about it, to the north and also out off to the east of the storm. That's where you're going to see a lot of those winds. And the winds will keep coming down, but at the same time, even when they do, it's this slow movement that's just going to be the problem. And you start looking at the time here, 10 a.m. Tuesday, 7 a.m. Wednesday, this location, 7 a.m. Thursday, this location. That's just not a lot of movement. So it's just moving very slowly that entire time, and that's why really going to have quite a few problems associated with this precipitation. And you start looking back at the radar. We're going to go back to the rainfall forecast. So you keep an eye on all these areas right here with time, and as the storm moves, some of these areas could shift with time and as a result produce significant amount of rainfall. Areas in orange here, 6 to 10 inches of rain. Some areas could get 15 to 20 inches of rain if you're set up back on that radar in those bands, in those repetitive areas. You could see those 15 to 20 inch values, but that's New Orleans, that's the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain. That's all the way across the I-10 corridor. So I-10 running about like this across Louisiana. So anywhere along I-10, you're going to see quite a bit of that rainfall. So Lake Charles, back towards Beaumont, Houma, any one of these areas, just a significant amount of rain. So listen for those warnings. The weather forecast offices will be issuing those flash flood warnings, and have a safe place to be. And the biggest thing is when you start looking at this rain over the next couple days, 2-3 days, it's just going to be dangerous to travel. So be so careful on the roads, and better yet, maybe not be on the roads at all. Turn around, don't drown, because a lot of times you can't see what's road, what's ditch. You just can't see exactly how deep that water is, and a lot of people lose their lives in automobiles in these situations. So please really heed those warnings. Use caution. It's really, truly a life-threatening situation when it comes to this rainfall. The Weather Prediction Center looks at areas of moderate and high risk associated with that rain. So the Mississippi coast back towards all of southeast Louisiana, some of central Louisiana, back towards Beaumont, Orange, back into the upper Texas coast. Any one of these areas, moderate risk of flash flooding. And this is the highest risk that the Weather Prediction Center issues. It includes Lake Charles back towards Beaumont, Orange, Port Arthur, a high risk of getting that flash flooding. So life-threatening situation in these areas associated with the rainfall. Something you just got to listen to those warnings and really have a safe plan as you go forward. I'm going to go ahead and focus on looking at the storm surge as well. And we've still got some values of elevated water, Galveston Bay. This is what happens. That wind really pushes that water into all these bays, every nook and cranny. It takes time for that water to get back out. So the water in some of these areas from Port Bolivar back over to places like Cameron, some of these areas 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. It just takes time for that water to come out. Sabine Lake and Calcasieu Lake could even see 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. So keep tuned. The biggest thing is to listen to those warnings, be especially careful at nighttime with travel, have a way to always get those warnings and have a safe place to be from this dangerous flooding situation. So this has been Ken Graham here live at the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida with the latest update on Tropical Storm Nicholas.